All right. Well, welcome to the, I'm muted. I shouldn't be muted anymore.
George should say something.
Oh, yeah, no, I said, welcome to our Rail Trail Advisory Committee meeting. And Georgia, I will let you start with the remote participation guidelines.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Good evening. This open meeting of the Rail Trail Advisory Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the committee is convening remotely via the Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by remote conference. Please be aware that other folks may be able to see you. Take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body will be shown during this transmission. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Before the meeting starts, allow me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. For items of public comment, we have established an email address for public comment. Public comments at danversrailtrail.org. This email address can be found on the posted agenda. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. And I am all done.
All right, thank you, Georgia. All right. So I'm going to start by, actually, I think we need to do introductions first. We'll go through the committee members first. I'm going to put up the agenda. So Paul McNulty with the Rail Trail Committee. And it's probably easiest for me to just ask people to speak their names just so we have, I can see everybody here. So Paul McNulty.
Nancy McNulty.
Charlie.
Charlie Lincecum.
Scott.
Scott Bornstein.
Mark.
Mark Jones.
Joe.
Joe Anthony.
Matt.
Matthew Duggan, present.
Matt, great. And we have Tom Powers visiting.
Tom Powers.
And Bill Graham is also asked to join visiting as well. And I think that is everybody. Give me a second to put up the screen share here. I just want to put up the agenda. And we'll do this quickly. All right. Can people see, what am I showing now? I'm showing my whole screen, huh? Let me try this again. Start the screen share. I want to do this one and I want to share. There we go. Does that work? Yeah. So here's the agenda we're going to go through. I'm just going to highlight, everyone should have this. We have a number of items under new business, and then we have a number of items under current business. Larry will not be joining us today. And we can give a quick update on the finances. So that's basically agenda. Hopefully everyone has this at their desk so that we can continue or begin to go through it. So we will start with any public comments or comments from the public.
Yep, so this is Matt here. I have new business here.
Okay.
So concerns the bipeds. So spoke with Ingrid Berry recently. She was the head of the Danvers bipeds, which was a precursor to this committee. And as most of us are aware, that she closed out the bipeds account and dispersed the remaining funds, which I think was in excess of $3,000 to this committee to spend on a specific project that could be easily identified, and she would be able to let the sponsors or the people that donated those funds to know that how that money was finally dispersed. So she's asking what the status of that is, and she wants to ensure that the money is not commingled with some other funds that would make it harder to identify.
Well, Matt, I can address some of this because I've also spoken with Ingrid about this. And my recollection was, and again, we appreciate the donation. We do only have one account, and Larry is not on the call today, but we do have one account, and those funds were deposited into the single 501c3 account that we have. But we do have a pretty good idea of what it was, and we can track what it was spent against. Her comments to me earlier were that she wanted to see or ensure that those funds were used in ways that improved access to the trail. And it was about $3,100, if I remember correctly. So we've done a number of projects over time. Some of them have, in fact, been to improve access to the trail. So we have been using the funds in that way. I can follow up more specifically with Ingrid on that. But I had not understood that she wanted this money to be kept separately. So that is something that we can do. I had not understood that.
Yeah, I don't think from a fiscal perspective, she needed to have it separated. I think she wanted it spent on a specific project. And I know in the past we've talked about either Coolidge Road or I forget the other one. But along that stretch of Cabot Road, the access, or even at Donegal Lane. When
Well,
she
so
talked
that's-
about access,
yeah.
she was thinking about a specific location, either with an improvement with a ramp or some way that made it easier for people that, for example, had a stroller or had some mobility issues that they could easily get onto the trail rather than have to go all the way down to Chestnut or up to Wenham Street. I think that was.
So Matt, let me suggest this. So we actually have done a couple of these projects. For example, we have improved access at Donegal. But let me follow up with Ingrid, because I think to clarify this, what we need to do is make it clear that we're understanding what her kind of thoughts were on what kind of accessibility, what locations, and to what extent. So I'm more than happy to follow up with her on that. She has asked me about this before. I was again not completely understanding the desire to understand where the money was being spent. So if that's okay, I will do that, and I can follow up in the next meeting after I've spoken with her.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Matt. So the next item that we have on the any other comments from the public, actually? And Mark, you're keeping an eye on the email, right? So there's nothing coming in. Okay, thanks. So the next item that we have on the agenda, and at first I should reference the reason why we're having this agenda item, is that Lori DuPont has in fact moved. I don't know if anyone's heard from her, but she's off. We had a little going away thing for her a few weeks ago. So she has moved to, I always fix it up, Virginia. We wish her well on her adventure. And so that there is a position now that's open on the committee. And so Tom Powers has been a very active volunteer with us over the last, Tom, I think you started back in June, on a lot of different projects with us. He's been actively engaged out on the trail, whether it be mowing or picking up trash, or actually, working in the various projects that we have, that he learned about through attending these meetings. So Tom has had an interest in this. I think Tom would be a great candidate. I wanted to give a chance for the group to ask Tom any questions or make any comments. But ultimately this gets decided by the town manager. So all we can really do is Tom would apply or has applied to the town manager. And then the town manager would talk to us to make sure we're okay with it. So, Tom, first to you, anything that you'd like to add before, and then we can take questions from the group.
I've just really enjoyed being a volunteer. It's a great group. It's a great mission, so to speak. So it was an easy one for me to first volunteer and then applied for this position. So it was an easy one.
Any questions for Tom from the group? Yeah, I think you all have his bio. Or comments?
I don't have any questions. I'll just say welcome and thank you for volunteering with us.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say I've been working with Tom right along. I've been filling the projects and he's a fine guy to work with, very pleasant. He's a good citizen for us out there, and I support him wholeheartedly.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
So unless there's any, sorry.
Yep. This is Matt. So just a general comment. So the position's been open for less than a month, right? I don't know when Lori actually officially resigned.
Yeah, you're right. There would be less, officially, I guess your last meeting was last month.
Right.
So yeah, it would be.
So there's been an issue for these for town manager appointed committees in terms of the process. So are there other candidates as in addition to Mr. Powers who have expressed any interest, or more importantly, has the position been advertised so it's known in the community that other people could provide a letter of intent or letter of interest?
So no one else has applied. And from the standpoint of looking to volunteers that we have regularly who've been out as much as Tom, there's no one else, that recently has had that same amount of engagement. So Matt, your question, in the past, we've never published these things. Now, maybe publicized these. We've had different positions that have come up. People have been volunteering and then they've made their interests known. We talked with this group to see if there's, people are generally okay with that person joining the group. And that's the process we've used in the past. If there's, and I'll look to Georgia, I mean, if there is some form of a public publishing, I mean, I know that we have always are encouraging people to fill in the talent form and express interest in joining any committee. So that's a standing open request, if you will, that to my knowledge, I haven't received any other requests for people to join this committee. There's people that would like to volunteer, and they do, but no one else has actually sent in a request. Georgia, any thoughts on kind of from policy's perspective, what we do?
Yeah, that's a great question. I will say, of the talent pool applications, I myself did not go through the ones that are submitted already in the binder. There may have been people that have indicated that they're interested in many committees, and one of those could be the rail trail. So if they've shown interest on previous applications, then we can give them a call to provide them an opportunity and let them know a position has become available. And if they are interested, then they will be added to the list of candidates for the position. As for advertising, I'm not sure that's a requirement. I know with our regulatory boards, oftentimes some positions are posted. But again, I don't think it's a regulatory requirement to make a legal ad or a posting in town hall.
Well, we do include the information on the website as far as we're always looking for volunteers. So that aspect of it is there. So why don't we do this, Matt? And so Matt's raising kind of a process point, which I think is a valid one.
Well,
So
can I interrupt you for a second? So to be on the committee requires you to be a volunteer and do work on the trail. I'm not sure that's actually the case. So the mission statement is to the committees to provide wide representation from the community. Advertising, I'm not talking about putting a public notice in the newspaper. Even just a blurb on the homepage of the website is, just to make it like it's not some kind of insular group, right? That it's open to everyone. And for town meeting members on this committee, you may have seen a recent letter from Dan Gagnon, who is a town meeting member in Precinct 5, talking about, he was specifically talking about the Preservation Commission, but he also spoke in general terms about how committee people are selected in the community. So,
so Matt, let's proceed. I mean, personally, and I can ask the group, I personally think people this group, especially given the nature of our work, I think this group is in fact a roll up your sleeves out on the trail and put down, repair the surface, pick up the trash, work with the various other volunteers. There's an aspect of this committee which is a very much kind of operational roll up your sleeves bit of work. So personally, I think that aspect of is an important aspect of someone's candidacy. But I would suggest then, I mean, you raise a valid point, Georgia, if you can check to see what else we have for talent pool submissions. I usually get anything that comes in. I get almost anything to do with the rail trail. So if you can check that, let's see what we find. Let's publish this on the, Mark, you and I can work on putting together a blurb on the website just so we make it clear. And then Tom, if you can hang in there. I mean, again, I don't think Matt here especially is questioning your abilities or support of the trail. But I do think he raises a good question. Since it has been only a month, maybe even less than a month, we should make sure that we have an open, that there's people aware of the opening. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. All right. So we will hold off on submitting this to the town manager until we meet next. Okay. Matt, okay?
Yeah, that's fine. So nothing, no slight intended towards Mr. Powers. It's just to, just to open it up to see what interest is out there. That's all.
Okay.
Ultimately, you may not hear from anyone else, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I think it just the optics of it are important to me.
That's fair. Okay. Well, listen. So we'll do this. And Tom, I just want to make sure we do acknowledge the volunteering that you're doing, and again, that you really have been great helping out in many ways on the trail, which is appreciated. All right. Next topic. These next couple of ones are me. The Maple Street Church trash and bench improvement exchange. So I had a discussion. I'll spare all the details about trash cleanup and trash pickup and some of the churning that is created with various folks and who's responsible for picking up the trash. But the Rail Trail Committee does pick up the trash all around Holton Street. And as the trail has become, Hobart Street, right? As the trail has become much busier, there's more trash. So we have a bit of an issue. More trash. We're talking about during the summertime, 2 or 3 bags on a busy weekend. So that's kind of just so people who are new to this can understand what that means. So in talking with the Maple Street Church, they have a couple of dumpsters there. I asked them if they would be open to allowing us to put a small amount of trash, a bag a week, maybe 2 bags a week during the summertime in their dumpster, because it's right there where our barrel is. They're happy to do that. They have a combination lock. They've given us the access to the dumpster. They've asked that in return, we put to something that I think Marge has wanted to do for quite a while, put down a small brick set of bricks in front of their bench, just because the bench gets trodden upon and it's a little bit messy looking. So I'm hoping that the group is okay with that. I think it's a very reasonable exchange to have access to a dumpster that's right near where we pick up the trash, and then to spend about $150 to put down a 6-foot by 8-foot brick pathway is what it would really be. Questions, comments, concerns?
Probably should do it pretty soon.
Yeah. So if people are okay with it, it's a small project. I'll set up a work party and we'll do that. And it's a very straightforward project for us to do.
Yeah, I just have a quick comment. So the last time I rode by that barrel that's next to the I'm not sure what you refer to it, where the
Western
bench,
Cycle?
yeah, the thing was like piled high and overflowing, and there's a sign that said this receptacle is emptied on a regular basis. So
was that at the Hobart? Are you talking about the Hobart?
Yeah, is that the town one or Hobart?
Does the town maintain that one? That's
No,
there by the picnic table?
no, no.
We do
Paul
that.
does.
Okay. Or maybe I
30
just caught it at a
37
bad
times.
time. Yeah, see, in the past, we used to take, I used to put, there used to be those white trash bags that you people didn't like.
Right.
But this is no different, this situation. And
Well,
we
so the
usually-
difference now, Matt, is that over the past few months, there's been a lot more use of the trail. And so what used to be able to be managed with a couple of trash bags, maybe a week, maybe one trash bag a week, even when the weather was nice, has now become 3, maybe 4. In fact, at one point over the Labor Day weekend, there was a huge pile of trash left at the Maple Street trash barrel. Not just from the rail trail, it was
Maple
from
Street.
us,
Oh.
the Maple
Oh,
Street
right.
by Western Cycle. So you're correct that a few years ago, this was less of an issue, but with the increased use of the trail, this has become an issue. Ideally, we could find a way to deposit this for the town to pick up, but that's just not it hasn't happened. So I thought a good way to demonstrate some support for the town by continue to pick up the trash and then support the church. This is an approach that we can use. But this is mainly driven by the fact that over the past 4 months, 3 months,
Right.
something like that, there's been an increase. It's gone down now that the weather's colder.
Well,
I also want to add that there's less trash on the trail.
That's true too.
The trash is in
Exactly.
the barrel, which
Right.
is a good thing, and so we don't have to pick it up all along the trail. And I mean all along the trail.
yeah, that's a good point. So better to have it all in one spot,
Right.
easier to get rid of, because I
Right.
remember, just spending hours going up and down, picking the stuff, stopping,
Exactly.
picking it all up.
Exactly.
So
And we have, I don't know if we've mentioned before, but there's this group of women from Middleton. I mean, we're very fortunate that there's this group that comes from Middleton. I don't know, maybe 3 days a week. It's 3 or 4 women, depending on the day. And they walk the trail and they pick up trash. I mean, so it's really nice that we have people that do the work, but that does mean we have to dispose of it. And I think this is a good, let me just see, I see Maureen is here. Let me let Maureen in. So this is a good interim, a good solution.
Yeah, I know one of those ladies for 15 years. I met her out on the trail one day, and she said how they come out all the time.
Paul, do we need to vote on the expenditure for the bricks?
We probably should. It wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, it's under we have this general $200 expense.
Right.
That's a good idea. No, Matt, no, go ahead, Mark. If you'd like to move, I just wrote it down. I did a little bit of research on this. It's $164.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we spend $164 for the bricks for the Maple Street bench.
I'll
Okay.
second that motion.
So now we need to have all in favor. So let me go around and ask for a vote so we have this recorded. So I'm in favor, yes.
I'm in favor.
Scott,
yes,
Charlie,
Yes,
Joe,
Yes,
I get Mark. You should
Yep.
be. And Matt.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Maureen.
Sorry, Danvers Housing Authority went over.
No problem, no problem. All right, so that's set. The next one, first day walk and the chocolate walk. So first day walk, for those people that are new or maybe on TV or watching TV, we often host a trail walk on January 1st. Then we usually plan it around now so that we can begin to notify folks. I'm kind of the mind that this year, given the various restrictions on outdoor gatherings and such, that it probably would not make sense for us to do any kind of a formal first day walk. We still may want to encourage people to enjoy the trail on the first of the year. But in the past, we've set up a table, we've had hot chocolates and we've had drinks, and it just seems like it may not be appropriate for January. So so thoughts on this? Do people have strong feelings about holding it or as an official event?
I don't have feelings either way, but I know the number of people that we've gotten probably is under the 25 or 50 or
Well,
whatever it
depends
is.
on the
but
weather,
Yeah, it
yeah.
depends on the
Yeah,
weather.
I'm fine with it either way.
Okay. Other comments? So there's no one that's like dying to get out there at 9 o'clock on January 1st and make hot chocolate. All right, so why don't we go?
Charlie
Anything
won't be
else?
here.
Say again, Mark.
Charlie won't be here, will he?
I won't be here. That's true.
I'll be here.
Oh,
I'll be looking forward to getting in my car January 2nd and heading back.
There you go. So what I'm going to do then, I'm going to suggest that Mark, we'll put an event on the calendar, but we'll change it up a little bit so that we make this more as an informal, enjoy the trail on the first day, show up when you can, that type of thing, if that makes sense for folks. And then we can delay the discussion on the chocolate walk because that's the other one that we'll have a better idea. That's the middle of February. We can figure out what we want to do in January on that day. We'll know more about where we are with this whole pandemic and meetings and all that. Okay. All right. Joe, you're next. You wanted to bring up this idea of, we called it a Southeast Trail possibility.
Right. Yeah, I've had the occasion to watch the EPA do some remediation of the Crease and Cook Superfund site recently. And it came to mind in talking to them that I remember that in 2018, we made some public comments about that project in terms of the MBTA right-of-way, and people from the town and I made a comment, and some people went to the meeting and made comments about the possibility when they restore their work on that right-of-way, where they're going to excavate down 3 feet, as much as 3 or 4 feet, and replace the soils, that when they restore it, that maybe they would consider a stone dust surface as in a walking rail trail or a joint use rail trail. So I looked, when I was talking to them, I was reviewing the record of decision that they came up with in response to the comments. And here's what they said. During negotiations with the property owner, the MBTA, and as part of the remedial design, EPA will consider how best to restore the right-of-way property in consideration of likely future recreational use. So I guess that's a victory for the people who made the comments. But I have an interest. I mean, I live down in that direction, but I also like rail trails, and I think it'd be a great idea. We've talked about it a little bit in the town about how it would provide connection to some more businesses, and it follows the Crane River, which is a beautiful tidal river with lots of seagoing birds and different things. So I have an interest in forming like an advocacy group, and just start talking and getting some thoughts together. And I want to go on record somehow in the town in terms of showing the EPA when they get the MBTA to do this project that we've had an interest, and whatever they restore there would be consistent with what the town would like to see. So anyways, I just throw it out to people that are in this meeting, this Zoom meeting, and also online watching this, that if they're interested to contact the Rail Trail Committee, and I'll go from there. But I'd like to start that advocacy group.
So Joe, this is Paul. I'm going to just do one quick thing because there may be people that have no idea what we're talking about that are online. So I'm going to just do a quick screen share.
Okay.
And this map, hopefully I've got this correct. This is an email, but this basically, this yellow line. So this is the town hall is up here. This is Route 128. This is High Street. So this is basically this possibility of running a rail trail that would kind of run down from in front of town hall, behind kind of Walgreens along High Street, under 128, and then down towards the Crane River. And this is the area where Joe was talking about the EPA work. And then of course it would run down further. So this is what we've been calling, or has been called, the Southeast, a Southeast extension. And what Joe is asking about is, if I'm understanding correctly, Joe, you personally are very interested in this, a possibility, and you're just trying to look for feedback from the committee on, what do we think about it, correct?
Yes. I mean, the whole length of the extension would be about 1,800 feet almost 2,000 feet. The EPA, I'm sorry, about 5,000 feet. And the EPA's restoration would occur in about 2,000 of that 5,000 feet. So it wouldn't be, they wouldn't be, restoring a stone dust trail for the whole length of this southeast extension, but a good part of it. And why not, take advantage of their involvement?
So that's on the Sam and Joe's side of the river, right, Joe? Not on the movie theater side.
Yeah, it's not
Correct.
on the west side. It's on the east side. It goes right down to Cheever Street. It also goes to a bridge that's abandoned now and not in very good shape over
Yeah.
the Crane River. Be a great little outlook there out onto the river.
Yeah. I used to live right there on Water Street, so I know exactly what
Oh.
you mean. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it would be a really good connection for that part of town, I think. Yeah,
Cool.
Joe, if I could too,
Yeah.
Going back to the days of building the trail with Iron Horse,
yes,
and I won't get into the reasons for it, but from Endicott Street over towards Peabody, there's a good portion that's already had rails removed and is already stone dust. Probably 1,500 feet.
right.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've walked that.
Yeah.
And it goes over to the Waters River.
Waters River and the bridge that's kind of burned out.
Yeah.
It would
You don't
need
want to cross that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's potential there for connecting to Peabody if they would ever have an interest in doing that. But I mean, just by itself, going along the Crane River is just a beautiful vista and a great connectivity to the businesses along High Street.
So Joe, my thought is on this is that if you obviously have an interest in this, which I personally also think this would be a nice addition for the town to have this trail, but it's a big project that it has a lot going on. Would you be comfortable, Joe, doing a little bit more of the research into things like who actually even owns these lines? There's been discussions about who owns it and what access we have and et cetera, and then coming back probably first with Georgia, just to make sure that the town is kind of in sync with what we're planning here.
Yeah, I've already asked the EPA to get they said the MBTA is going to run the project. So I've asked for a name at the MBTA and a department. But yeah, that's a good idea. And I want to follow through with that.
The rest of the committee okay with that as an approach? Okay.
This is Matt. I can chime in just for a little bit of background. So Charlie mentioned the rails gone. That's because Iron Horse stole them. They weren't allowed to go down there. That's actually an active line from Townsend Oil all the way to Salem Depot is considered an active line, rail line.
This is the thing.
We would need a lease to be able to, with it. It's really trespassing on the right of way from a legal perspective. I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but
Matt, I'm glad you brought it up, only because this is what we need to figure out. And this kind of has bubbled up in previous discussions. Who owns it? What's the access?
So it's Transit Realty. Transit Realty is the real estate arm of the MBTA. They've already have plans to use part of that line to take light rail into Peabody Square. And on the master plan for the MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization, is build a parking garage where Blue Karma is across from Walgreens, and have a light rail come right up to Purchase Street. So it'd be great, rail with trail with rail. That would be a great concept. But I would suggest that Joe reach out to Transit Realty and see what progress he could make with them.
Yeah,
All right,
maybe-
you okay?
maybe know somebody there. Yeah. Thanks, Matt.
All right, so let's we'll move to the next topic. Thank you for that, Joe. Charlie, mower repair, mowing plans.
Yep. Well, as probably most of you know, we had a little incident with the tractor. It received some damage. To repair it and to tune it up for the following season will be, Paul has a quote from Rosencrantz, $292.38 to really pull that back. So I guess today I'd be looking for approval to get that money in so I could fix the tractor before I leave so it's ready for the spring. Part two of this is the incident happened up on Cabot Road where we have the drop-offs on both sides. You know these areas. We're going to have to come up with a separate way of mowing from Chestnut Street down to the high school bridge, and on the south side from Prince Street down to the Peabody line, or actually to 114 bridge. No, that would be the Peabody line. Yeah, keep on going to the Peabody line.
Right.
And we have to find some other way or a more safer way to do this. So I've talked to Tom, who's done a good share of the mowing for the last few months, with Bob. Bob has gone inactive for a little while. He's decided to take a little time off. So I get his thoughts. So we're going to put this together. We'll present it probably next month or even into the spring, because even though I'm in Florida, I'll be able to go remote. And we'll come up with a better mowing plan for next year, which may require a different piece of equipment to cut those big drop-offs for safety purposes. So 2 parts. First of all, looking for approval to fix the current tractor and get it up and running. Well, it's running, but to fix it. And part 2 is to just put on the agenda that we will keep working at a better mower plan in 2021. Any questions?
How much was that cost, Charlie?
$292.95, I think it is.
I'll make a motion that we spend the $292.95 for the mower repairs for the season.
What's
Second
wrong
that.
with the mower? What's the damage?
Damage to the mower itself is, there's some cosmetics, some scratches and stuff on the hood. The hood is a 3-piece apparatus. The top has scratches on it. I'm going to walk away from that for now as far as fixing is concerned. That would be a $240 item. Both the left side and the right side go about $224 each. The only thing that is damaged is the right side, because the tabs are completely broken off. So I had to replace the right side of the mower. So that's $224. When it rolled over, it hit a rock and it bent a blade. So it's way out of balance and I can't salvage that blade. So as a spring cleanup, I want to replace the whole set. 3 set of blades is $37. And this would also air filter, spark plug, and oil change and oil filter. So for that price, we had everything ready to go in the spring. Tractor would be 100%.
Okay,
I seconded. I didn't know if you heard that or not.
thank you, Joe. So I'm going to go around to see if we can vote on Charlie's request for 292. So I'm going to start with myself. I'm fine with it. Nancy,
I'm fine.
Scott,
Yes.
Charlie,
Oh, yeah.
Joe,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good.
All right, so I'll put the parts on order. They're a week and a half delivery. I'll put the parts on order tomorrow, and I'll be working with Larry for the financing of it.
Great. Thank you, Charlie, for storing it and doing the work on it. And remember, we're getting all this done for nothing but the cost. Excuse me, nothing but the parts. So thank you, Charlie, for doing the work. I don't know what
Thank
your
Tom.
hourly rate would be, but
Thanks, Tom. He's going to be helping me fix the tractor.
or Bob, Uncle Tom, or everyone. The next topic is the shed location. Charlie, you want to give us a quick update on that?
Yeah, we because of the cost of lumber, the shed would have cost us roughly 20% more in the spring than it does now. So we decided to put it on order, and instead of a 5% raise, we only get a 4% raise. So we saved some money there. What I was hoping to do is prep the site for the shed over near Hobart, so that when the shed is ready to come in May, we can move the tractor and all the paraphernalia in my cellar and Paul's cellar to the shed, and then we'd be up and running for the season. Looking at this again, with Bob inactive and Tom, the other 2 mowers, Tom and myself, not being around until mid-May, there's no real reason to rush it this fall, especially when it's starting to get a little bit cold and the ground's getting a little bit stiffer. So my suggestion would be rather hold off until the spring. Let's do a spring project. It'll only take us a day to take out all that sod and put down either mulch or stone, prep it. Once I get the delivery date from the shed company, and then we'd be in pretty good shape. And in the meantime, we'll leave the tractor in my cellar for the winter. I will give Paul a key to my garage, which is
Lucky
it's
me.
apart from the rest of the house. It's just underneath, and so he can get to that trap if he needs to, and I don't have to fly home.
Thanks.
All right.
All right. So Charlie, in summary, there's nothing for us to be doing until you're back.
Yes,
I like that.
pretty much.
Okay. Thanks. Any questions for Charlie on the shed? All right. And the next topic, which is kind of one of the larger ones, is the surface repair. Joe Anthony's doing a lot of work on this over the past 2 months, I guess. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually, Joe, I'm going to put up a screen share of this of the spreadsheet that we circulated. So basically, this is mainly an update to the committee. We've discussed these projects in the past, and Joe had agreed a couple of months ago to go out and to work with a few contractors and begin to size the cost of these different repairs. So I think he's done a very nice job in putting together a cost line item by, area by area. And we want to talk a little bit about that. But mainly the next, just make sure people understand that, and are comfortable with the next step being that the town, so Georgia, she comes and goes, Georgia and Aaron looking at the best way to get the town to help fund these repairs. So I'm going to put on the screen share, Joe. I'm just going to put this up.
It's only part of it.
Right.
Missing line.
I understand.
Okay.
You can only do so much. So Joe, this is what I circulated to everyone by email, and it's probably easiest for me to just scroll through it. So do you want to take a couple of minutes and just kind of highlight what's here for folks, and then people can ask, and I'll go back to the full view, but I want, people can see what this looks like. You should all have this, by the way.
Now, I want to ask everybody, though, I want to make sure I talk about things they want to hear. I mean, I know we can go through it fairly quickly, or we can get into some detail, but do you want some background of what went into developing this, or do you just want to talk about each site or certain sites? I'd like to, before I go off in the wrong direction, what would people like to hear?
Joe, I would suggest that you get a little bit of background about how you did the costing.
Okay.
And if people have specific questions, we can address them. But really, at this point in time, this next step is for the town to look at this and come back with their recommendations on if and how they can support funding it. And I guess at that point, we'd be getting into more detail of exactly what we would go after. So Joe, why don't you start a little bit of background on the folks you met with, and then maybe just pick a couple of these that you want to talk to as an example of the process.
Yeah, let me just go through how it developed. There's a group of us, 5 of us on the committee that kind of have listed, and it's been going on for what? How long, Paul? 2 years, maybe?
Oh, you mean working on this list, these top 10? Oh, at least 2 years, maybe 3. Yeah.
That goes back a couple of years. Anyways, we listed areas that we think need attention. We divided it up into some that aren't shown here, some that we feel like the Rail Trail Volunteer Force can take care of. So we narrowed down the list. And then these here are ones that contractors or vendors, we would pull them in to help us, but we would need to pay them to do that. We came up with about 29 different areas of concern along the 4.3 miles of trail. We decided that the rail trail, let's see. Oh, so we now have on this list, we've narrowed it down to 17. After we take the rail trail volunteer tasks out, we have 17 different items. And of those, we prioritize them and group them into the green ones are higher priority, we call top priority. The highest one is the flooding near Wenham Street at 3.6. And then we have the pink or peach or whatever color that is as the lower priority. We call it medium priority. So,
hey, Joe, I just want to interrupt for a second, only because the list of items that are in green, this isn't changed. This is the list that this group reviewed and approved the priorities back in November of last year. Reviewed this with the town in also November of last year, but also I think in May of the previous year. So it's not so much that the list is new. There's some of the pink ones are new, but the list itself, the main ones, it's the same things we've been talking about. But the thing that I think Joe's done that's really nice here is he's costed out and got kind of informal quotes on what it would cost to do the work. Sorry, Joe, to interrupt. I just want to make people know that this is not a new list. This is a list that's existed for a while, and the priorities have existed for a while.
Right. Okay, yeah, and there's, of those 17, 5 of them are the median priorities, lower priority, which are additional to what you've done over the last couple of years. So pulled some contractors, K&R Construction and Earthworks Construction, and they came out and walked the site, the trail for a good part of it, took them up to 3.6. They were very interested in that area. And I asked them if they would just help us get a handle on the costing. And so they didn't prepare a bid, a nuts and bolts bid costing, but they did what they call budgetary costing. So it's high level costing. And they gave me unit prices. And just so you know, they gave me unit prices for resurfacing the trail pretty lightly, like a 2-inch average lift of stone dust. Asphalt aprons at some of the streets, there's 7 of those. The ditch up at 3.6, we broke that out as a separate item. Some cost for linear foot of siltation barriers, those tubes that they lay next to areas that don't get contaminated with silts, sometimes called wetlands. Some tree removal, 2 different areas where we could possibly put a cross pipe in to help with drainage, traffic officers, and the last one is lifting the trail at 3.6 as much as 10 to 12 inches. Because as I look at that area, I think that we're going to have to probably raise the trail quite a bit, which is what we've been talking about, and then create a ditch on the side. So anyways, those are the pricing. And given those unit prices that they gave me a handle on, I was able to get quantities just by going out in the field and taking measurements, applying those quantities to the unit cost, and that's what this spreadsheet does. So the spreadsheet allows us to go each task in column 2, defining column 2, and over in the right column, it gives you an approximate cost of what it would cost to take care of that surface repair. So I don't know, Paul, you want me to go through the different items, or?
Given the time, I would suggest, Joe, why don't we pick one that you can kind of give people an idea of just once they get a sense for what's there. I don't know, you can just pick the first one just to get an idea.
Let me just say something else. I just thought of something else before I do that. I'll take 3.6 as that has a lot of different items. But the ones in peach cost, let's see, what do we cost? So the green ones cost $75,000. The sum of the peach ones cost $11,000. So it's like 1/7 of the cost of the green ones, but it's 890 feet versus 1,130. The point being is the peach ones are less construction, less costly, and the way the contractors are going to do this probably is they're going to start down, say, at Prince Street and form a train of a truck with a load of stone dust that dumps it into a box, and then they have 2 laborers behind that, and then a roller behind that. So they have this train that goes up through the trail, and they're saying, I don't know why you wouldn't hit these, less priority ones while we're going over it. So I just wanted to point that out. There's a cost efficiency there. Looking at 3.6, where the flood is, what we want to do is raise the trail in 3 different lifts of stone. This is just for costing purposes. Maybe we'll come up with something else by the time we do the work, but I think this is where we're heading, is to raise the trail, the 10-foot wide trail, as much as 10 to 12 inches, create a ditch on the east side that's about 270 feet. We may have to have a pipe that takes that the water that collects in that ditch and sends it north. So there's a pipe in there. There's 2 trees in the way that would prevent us from doing that. That we would have to work with Concom. By the way, we do have to do a notice of intent and get an order of conditions for this work because we're in the close to the wetlands, 2 different wetlands in that area. So we have 270 feet of ditch. That costs about $8,000. We have siltations, $2,400, a couple hundred feet of silt, those tubing, the tubing. 2 trees at $3,600. A cross pipe possibly at $1,800. And traffic officers, I said for 3 days, 3 full days at $1,500. And then the lift of the material is $18,000 to put as much as 10 to 12 inches for as much as 500 feet. So that adds up to just the work at 3.6 is by far the most expensive task. It's about $35,000. And that's, again, it's not measuring quantities accurately. It's the contractor saying, look, it's going to take me a crew half a day or a day to do the ditch. It's going to take a half day to do the trees, that type of costing. So they're really good, and they kind of jive with each other, so it gave some level of confidence to the costs that they provided.
So Joe, I'm going to just jump in now because, again, I want to being sensitive to people's time here. So what Joe just described, I think is a good summary of like how he estimated the costs. But I want to remind folks, this would still need to be, we need a specific proposal for this at the point in time we went out and do the work. So these items, and people had a chance to look at them, there should really not be any surprises. The next step is for Georgia and Aaron to review this list and reply to us with how they think, and if they think the town can support funding any of this in the 2022 budget. Who knows exactly what that will mean, whether that's through a budget, through a warrant article, whatever. But they need to take a pass through it themselves and make an assessment of where it might fit. So with that in mind, do you have any questions or comments on what Joe has outlined here from the perspective of what next steps for the town?
I have a comment and a question. I think the comment is that this is excellent. This really helped me kind of understand it with the cost and everything. But in terms of the request for funding, didn't town meeting, didn't we vote on some money every year to put aside for the rail trail matter? Paul, you might remember this, but isn't there some money in an account right now that they are waiting for us to come to them and say, we need the money for this?
No. No. So there was $8,000 in this year's budget, and there was $8,000 in the previous year's budget. I believe the $8,000 in the previous year's budget funded the crossing beacons at Pine Street. Okay. And there's $8,000 it's remaining.
Oh, for some reason I thought it was more, but okay.
No, it's $8,000, which we have asked them this year for this fiscal year. Our recommendation was to have that, use that to address the issues of the dentist office. And if you recall, Aaron Henry was keen on trying this kind of idea of stabilized stone dust, and he thought it would be a good spot to give it a try. So that's still, I guess, on the kind of the DPW work list. If they have a chance to do it, we would remove that from this list. But that's the funding that was in the town budget for this year, this current fiscal year.
All right. Thanks.
So, I mean,
people have
one thing is that the new trail to the northwest, I assume it's still moving forward. It'd be nice to get this existing trail that we have now in good shape, in better shape, and so that we could dedicate more of our volunteer time to the new trail and do some, once they build a new trail, I'm sure there's things we're going to want to do TLC type things, community things that we'll want to do to that trail. And we're going to be spread more thin with that much more mileage of trail. I don't know, just a thought that I've been thinking that, be good to, while these guys are out here doing this work and they have this train for them, I'd like to get as much, hopefully, and get some money and do as much as we can along the trail as we at this point in time or next year.
So I think, Joe, no, I think, your point is a valid point, but meaning that if once they're out there, incremental work becomes less and less expensive.
A lot, yeah. They emphasize that when the
Yeah, no, I
contractors do.
understand. But the next, we need guidance now from the town, from a funding perspective, what they think they can manage. And then, of course, we have other options, right? The town may say they can fund so much. Maybe we do some fundraising ourselves to do some of this work. I don't think there's an argument that we need to make these repairs. It's more a question of the right way to fund it. So I think that next step, and Georgia had to drop off for her. I think she's going to a Concom meeting, but I know that she and Aaron plan to go through this, and will follow up with us in the next week or two on what they view as the best approach. And so for Maureen, I think you can just kind of keep in mind as budgeting is being outlined for next year, these requests, this list has been something that's been discussed with the town. Charlie will know better than me. 3 years, 4 years.
All of that and more.
All that and more. So, and we're fortunate that we have a trail that 90% of it's in really good shape. But there are these, 17 areas that, need a little bit of upkeeping. So just so you're aware, who knows how this will come through to you at the select board. But we'll be looking for George and Aaron to guide us on next steps.
Could I say one more thing? Yes or no?
Go ahead.
Okay. There's a lot of trail development going on in eastern Massachusetts, all over the place. I think in 5 years that, there's going to be connectivity made between towns that doesn't exist now. The railroads are there, the right-of-ways are there, but their towns are working on it. So, it's great that we're proceeding with the Northwest extension. And I don't know, I just think it's a good time, next 5 years or so, to try to expand our trail systems and improve them.
Yeah. All right. So unless there's other comments on this topic, we'll move on and we'll follow up at the next meeting. I really want to thank Joe for all the time he took on this, because I know he was out there in the trail any number of times and developed the spreadsheet. And I think this would be a great tool to help move this forward with the town, or for us if we end up having to do some of this funding on our own. So.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
My pleasure. Thanks for the spreadsheet help.
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah, it's an addiction. Okay. The next topic is George is not here unless anyone else has any update on the Northwest Extension. I don't think there's anything to be added at this point in time. Okay. Larry is not here for the finance update, but I do know from talking with Larry that there's been really no change from the last meetings. Virtually no expenses because we're in kind of a quiet period, and then also the income has been low. We need to start ramping up our mile marker program for the end of the year.
Question.
Say again. Now, one thing, you know what I want? Well, we can do it before we do the minutes. We'll do. I want to hit the tree. We did that. It's fun to do the tree. It's the finance update. Are we all okay with the minutes from October 16th? Somebody make a motion to approve them.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from October 16th.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All right.
Second that.
Go around the horn. I'm going to go backwards. Where's Matt? I was going to start with Matt, and he's gone. All right. Well, Matt, if you're there, chime back in.
Conservation meeting, I bet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Because we're just George is on. Joe, you okay with the minutes?
Yes.
Mark, you okay with the minutes?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Where are we next? Nancy?
Yes.
I'm okay with them. Charlie?
Yes.
All right, great. We'll pass. No, all approved. And Sarah, again, thank you very much for doing that. We appreciate.
Anytime. Happy to do it.
Appreciate that.
Happy to help.
The one thing, actually, what I want to do is Nancy mentioned the parade of trees, and there's been a little bit of support from people here for the parade of trees, and we were just going to. I'm going to let you do a little update. I'm just going to show the tree,
Oh,
and you can just tell people what's going on. Or, oops, Matt Duggan is knitted.
what? Matt's back?
Matt's back. I think Matt's back.
Oh, there.
There's Matt.
Blocks are dinging, sorry.
Yeah, I know. Well, they'll be done in a second. We'll gotta wait for Matt to come back. All right, Matt, I think you're back. I think he's back.
Doesn't say
You
anything.
might be on mute, Matt.
I don't know. No, he's just coming back in.
It's just, yeah. it's
Yeah.
nothing.
No, he's not. He's not there yet. So, all right. So I'm just going to hold this up. You can just say
Oh.
basically what the.
Oh, well, the Parade of Trees has been trying to do their thing in the COVID restrictions. So, I emailed people, I got some responses. Move this. I got a bunch of people who donated kits. Bill Graham did wine. Tom and his wife put together a Christmas cake thing, and Karen Wagner did a great scone. I'll just lay this down. Scone package. And then, I bought a tree. I made some decorations, and I have a kit for gingerbread men. And then they asked me at the Historical Society to do a little video. Paul was my director. I did a little cookie making video. We'll see how it comes out. If you go to danvershistory.org, you can click on anything and see what's going on. But it's very limited. There's no party celebrating who donated stuff. There will be available times for people to sign up and make bids on the trees, but it will be in half-hour increments, and it'll only be 10 people per half hour. But you'll also be able to participate online if you wish. So that's the way it's going. It's they're doing their best.
Yeah. Well, thank you for pulling it together, and for the folks that donated, because it's a little bit of a support for this Historic Society, and Laura, one of our ex-committee members.
Yes.
All right. So we're set on the minute meetings. And then the last thing we have on our agenda, and we're pretty close to 7 o'clock, is the next meeting date. So normally we would meet on the 17th of the month. That would be, would be December 17th, is the third Thursday of the month. I was initially thinking we might not want to meet that day. But on the other hand, if we want to try to wrap up on the committee and Tom or other members, maybe it makes sense to have a call, even if it's a short one, on the 17th. Do people have strong feelings one way or the other about a call on the 17th?
I do. I'd like to see a quick call on the 17th just to put the Tom membership to bed. That'd be kind of unfair to push him out for 2 months.
Okay.
Personally,
Yeah,
just my opinion.
Will that? Can generally people make the 17th?
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree with Charlie.
Keep the meeting
Yeah.
fairly brief as well.
Yeah.
And we can probably hear back from Georgia what's been going on with the, budgeting for next year. So, all right. Well, unless there's any other comments, concerns, questions, we're going to wrap.
Can I mention one more thing?
Yeah.
For all our trail users out there, Topsfield has expanded a little bit. If you go up that end, if you're on a bike or even running, their trail from town center past the school on Adams Street has been expanded. It used to be a trail width wide, just a wheel of a bike.
Yeah.
Now their trail is close to 8 to 10 feet wide, and they have 6 or 8 foot cutback borders. And that's all the way up to Boxford 95.
Oh.
So if you want to go a few more miles, that'd be 1.6, 2.3 more miles. It's a nice little trip and very rustic up there. Nice little walker ride.
I've seen deer up there before. It's nice.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there up there.
It
Yeah.
is. It's beautiful.
Isn't it gorgeous up there?
Yes.
All those nice homes. And Topsfield's got 2-acre minimum lot, and they're all spread out. It's gorgeous.
Nice. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you want to take up disc golf, Pie Brook is right there, and they have a disc golf course. So have a ball.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, listen, thank you, everyone. Oh, so Joe?
Yeah, Middleton has a new trail. It's about 2/3 of a mile long K&R, one of the guys I was talking to, just finished it. If you want to see what a brand new rail trail looks like,
Middleton?
yeah, it goes north west from the town. There's a school. I think it's an elementary school right in the town center there. I forget the name of it.
Howard Mann.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
And it goes from there northwest. Kind of goes nowhere and back, but they're starting it and they're extending towards us too. So
Gotta start somewhere.
Exactly.
All right. I'm going to, unless there's anything else to add, I want to wrap it up. We will adjourn.
Hi,
Make a
Tom.
motion
Nice
to
seeing you,
adjourn.
Tom.
See you,
Alice.
everyone. See you on the 17th.
Maureen.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
You too,
Thanksgiving.
Maureen.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Paul, Nancy, thank you very much.
Okay.
yeah,
Bye-bye.
thanks, Paul.
Bye, everybody.